That said, we're going to jump back on the DC train. We got to jump back on the tracks here because they teased a few things that I do want to talk about. And I know Kiko will probably want to share his opinions on, because they'll go right next to the N1, apparently. So Hot Toys teased a couple things. One of them being a Batwing, one of them being a tumbler. They teased a Camo Tumbler, which was obviously made forever ago, and they could be remaking it. Who knows? They could just be flexing on us. They also have a Robert Pattinson Batmobile, right? So they have a lot of different options available at this show, not for purchase, but for display, right? For eye candy. That said, Kiko, is Hot Toys playing tiddlywinks with our heart? Because they have shown a Batwing here. They showed a Pattinson Batmobile, which I know Riley probably almost fainted over. And there's going to be a lot of cool things at this show here, or was. And is there any chance of these actually getting made? What do you think?
No, these are the hype pieces for. I mean, the chances of these being made, or the chances of those 20-foot tall Batmans being made that are sitting at the arch of this type of thing. If they can fabricate those, obviously for the entrance, that life-size Flash, when you walk into the entrance of this exhibit or whatever, it's the same thing. It's just like hey, let's get hype about this. Let's get cool. And case in point, the Leonidas from 300 still sitting in this display.
I saw that.
They brought that tumbler has been out in the storage forever. That Batwing has been sitting there forever. I mean, they're hype pieces. That's all it is, just to get you really excited and really saying, man, this would be really nice. And prove me wrong, as I've said. And it gets you talking. It gets us talking. It gets us clicks when people ultimately see the thumbnail. I'm like, oh, they released it. No, they didn't. Right. Because I really do think that the vehicle thing at this size and scale just isn't going to be their wheelhouse at this point. For someone who's, like I said, I can't do speeder bikes and things anymore. The only ones I made the exception for were the Tumbler and the Batmobile and the DeLorean, because those are the only ones I actually wanted. I said that. Now I sound silly saying I'm not doing any vehicles. I just listed 3 of them, and I'm wanting the Ecto, which we've talked about forever. So, okay, shame on me. I'm talking out my ass. But no, these aren't going to be made. They're teased. That's all that is. And I still stand by the fact that the N1 will not be made.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm still holding out hope the N1 will be made, but Kiko, by the day, I'm losing hope, bro. And I'm by the day starting to think that you might have been right. But you never know. Because, I mean, Mando Season 3 came and went, no announcement. And that was probably the time to do it. But Hot Toys never seem to give a fuck about timing. They're just like, we're going to drop the N1 on Thanksgiving Day. And that's what they'll do, right? And everyone will still be excited about it. Marco, what do you think? Is there any sort of hope here, or Hot Toys playing tiddlywinks with our heart? I know Riley loves when I say that, so... What do you think, Marco?
Tiddlywinks with our heart.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think they are pulling on our heartstrings just a little bit here. Okay, so here's some evidence on why these won't happen. So number one, the Tumbler reissue is sitting around for forever, right? We're talking about bargain bin.
Right.
That thing we probably haven't seen as low as it goes. They've had a whole big issue with the DeLorean now. They haven't addressed it. I think they've addressed maybe the design in future iterations, but I think that's all speculation. I just got mine in, so excited to open that up as well. But so they haven't had like the great track record with these vehicles. That being said, I think the Pattinson Batmobile is coming. I think because other companies, we know Jazz Inc.'s doing it. We know InArt eventually, who knows what eventually means, but eventually want to do it. I think Hot Toys will enter this ring, especially there's another film coming up. It can kind of live in that space between the first film and the second film. Now, I'm sure he'll have improvements to the Batmobile, but I think this one makes too much sense because the design is not incredibly complex. It looks beautiful. I think this would be a high seller for them. And the fact that they're going to have their Batman hopefully drop in here in the near future, I think this one eventually will come out. The others, such as the Batwing, I don't think they're going to touch that one because obviously Jazz Inc. has done such an impressive piece. If they released a little tiny thing, it wouldn't look as good for them. So so I think most of those will stay on the design floor, but I think this one will eventually come home just because just such a cool design.
Yeah.
I'm a mid-film though. Why would you want that?
Wow, how dare you?
I do actually agree with Hugo, but yeah, it's funny. Like I do
So yeah,
it's not Dark Knight, but yeah, it's good.
It's still a fun film, but when the
It's so
when
good.
the Riddler started singing, they did lose me for a second. I was like,
Dude,
"Why?
that
What are
scene
they
lost me a
doing?"
little bit too, and it feel like it had the opposite impact that it was supposed to. Like people in my theater were actually laughing, and I was like, "This is
Yeah.
not what they were going for." Yeah, it was meant to be like, "Oh, he's kind of crazy over the top," and I liked Paul Dano's performance. Other than that, I thought he was great. But then that scene, I was like, "That's supposed to be like sort of his Oscar scene," you know what I mean? And it just didn't really land the way that most
He was
people
trying to
probably.
do Heath, and he just, missed the mark
Right.
completely.
Exactly. And it's in the script. I mean, the script has him singing apparently. So, but I mean, I do like this Batmobile. This is pretty cool. I do want to see though. I do want to see Hot Toys announce this because I want to see how many people stick with their Jazz Inc. That's what I want. That's going to be fascinating data for me to look at. I'm going to be like, okay, like I obviously won't know the exact numbers, but I'll just I'll just sort of guesstimate.
How
But
does that work for Jazz Inc? Say they release
yeah,
this tomorrow. Do you lose a deposit? Has there people already played in full? Because I
I think you
did buy
won't.
something from Jazz Inc before. I told you I bought that Vulture
Right.
Iron Scavenger back in the day, but I paid that in full. You know, whatever. How does this work if this came out and they're like, I don't want the Jazz Inc version anymore? Is it
Right.
full cancellation, refund? I don't know how any of that
I,
works. Do
I
you?
I mean, I don't know. Yost might be handled a little bit differently. I'm assuming he's still going to charge you an NRD. I would assume. Maybe he'll give you store credit or something, but I don't know. I've never bought a Jazz Inc myself, so I can't really say. But maybe people in the chat can weigh in. But Marco, you haven't bought a Jazz Inc, have you?
I haven't. Just the price point that they command is just a little bit outside of the range I'm comfortable with, and I think Hot
Right.
Toys, their offerings kind of in below $1,000. I feel okay about that. I'm like, okay, that's just enough. It's obviously very expensive, but it's just enough for me to feel comfortable getting into it. So
Right.
that's why I desperately want them to do this, because Jazz Inc.'s a no go, and I understand if folks want the premium version, good on you. But this one is just going to be good enough for me if they eventually do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's still, look, Jazz Inc one still looks great. So the weathered and the clean version. So either way, people will be happy. So I guess we shall see.